Thank you, Dan. Good evening once again. And the World Cup will not really concern either Birmingham or Sunderland in terms of personnel, but the two managers maybe relieved their teams are getting a break. Birmingham's high-octane style has taken it out of a fairly thin squad, while Sunderland's injury list is considerable, and both John Eustace and Tony Mowbray would also appreciate backing in the transfer window as well, and their current resources suggest it is needed. Two changes for Birmingham, and 17-year-old Jobe Bellingham makes his full league debut. Of course, his brother did great things here as a 16-year-old before moving on to Borussia Dortmund and the full England team. Bellingham starts tonight, replacing Jordan Graham in midfield. Tappy Chong is also replaced by Christian Bielik, who was suspended for the 2-2 draw here against Swansea on Tuesday. So it's Ruddy in goal, Colin, Sanderson and Trusty the back three. In midfield it'll be Bakuna, Bellingham, Hannibal, Bielik and Longelo, with Deeney and Hogan in attack. Sunderland's injury list has lengthened in the last week or so. Dennis Surkamp picked up a problem in training yesterday. Luke O'Neill was already missing this game due to suspension, but he's also injured. So Trey Hume comes in on the right and Niall Huggins comes in on the left, his first game since September of last year. Corey Evans comes into midfield. Abdullah Barr makes way for him. Alex Pritchard replacing Patrick Roberts, who we understand may also have an injury complaint, although he is on the bench. So it's Patterson in goal, Hume right, Bart and Huggins the back four. It'll be Neil and Evans in midfield, with Pritchard, Diallo and Clark behind Sims. Ross Stewart, their top goal scorer with 5 goals, is still out. He has not played since the end of August. Good crowd inside St Andrews this evening. Of course, the lower tier of the Tilton Road end and the Cop stand on the far side are still closed and will remain closed for some time while building replacement work is carried out on those areas of the stadium. But the Sunderland supporters have travelled in great numbers in the Gil Merrick stand, the old railway end, away to our right-hand side, as both teams emerge from the tunnel in the right-hand corner here at St Andrews for the final time before the World Cup. And there's an opportunity for Birmingham to move into the top 6 here this evening. Sunderland can also move into the top half. And Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, it feels like a big game because it's strange because we have such a long break coming up at this stage of the season. You want to finish on a win. Yeah, definitely. And I think, the higher that they finish up that table, Birmingham, before that break, it's obviously positive. Then they've got a lot of time to work on, all the things that they need to going forward. But I think, John Eustace has not just got these players believing, but the fans in the stadium got them believing that better days are coming as well. And we spoke about Jobe Bellingham. I mean, he would have been here as a younger teenager watching his brother. I'm sure his family's here tonight. They're incredibly grounded and level-headed. They've been a major reason, I think, why 2 of their sons have done so well in football so far. But I think it would be unfair on him to say, well, he's got to be another Jobe Bellingham, because players like him don't come around too often. Yeah, I think it would be unfair, but as I said earlier to Dan, I think unquestionably because he has Bellingham on the back of the shirt, there is that expectation. But I just think, he's got to forge his own path. He's got to be his own player and be given that time to progress and not always mentioned in the name of Jude, with his brother. So it's a big opportunity for him tonight and hopefully a chance to grow going forward. And there is a huge mural of Jobe Bellingham plastered across one of the walls at the Tilton Road end of St Andrews, which is really eye-catching on the way to the stadium now. And of course they retired his number following his move, which just gives you an indication of the esteem he was held in here, even a player of such tender years. And we look down this Sunderland team, and if you've got a player like Niall Huggins coming back, I mean, he's been out for 14 months. There will be, expectation for him, but I'm sure there'll be a few nerves as well. Yeah, exactly. 14 months, it's a very long time, isn't it? So, there will be some trepidation, but it'll be good for him to get back out there. And Birmingham City in all blue facing Sunderland in their red and white stripes, black shorts and red socks. And our referee is Andy Madley. Of course, his brother has just returned to Premier League duties as well in the last couple of weeks. And can Birmingham take the opportunity to move into the playoff places before the weekend programme really gets underway? Sunderland in what's been a worrying run, but they have been pretty good away from home, relatively speaking. Surprisingly, perhaps, it's been at the Stadium of Light where they've had more issues in terms of results so far this season. Tony Mowbray will be hoping that their fine away record can continue here this evening. It's Birmingham who will get the game underway, attacking the railway end away to our right-hand side in the first half. And once again, St Andrews is expectant. Birmingham, one of the most improved teams in the Championship so far this season. And Sunderland, of course, back at this level after 4 long years in the third tier. And they will be keen to prolong their stay in the Championship for as long as they can before they will try and make a challenge once again for where they believe they should be in the Premier League, as Scott Hogan gets the match underway. And the football weekend is underway across the Talksport network. 3 big games coming up from the Premier League tomorrow, but we start on a Friday evening, as always, in the Championship. And Birmingham City attacking from right to left in the first half as we look out from the main stand here at St Andrews. And Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, it's interesting to see if Birmingham will be able to set the high tempo that they usually like to here.
Yeah, definitely. As we've mentioned, the midweek fixtures and the congestion of that has not been kind to them. So, you know, they might have to taper initially maybe the way that they play and pick and choose their moments a bit more on how aggressive they are going to be with that press and going forward.
Here is Clark for Sunderland on this near side there left. And it goes back to Huggins, a first touch for him, and it's a ball forward looking for Clark. And it's overhit, and it's gathered by John Ruddy, wearing all green, the Birmingham goalkeeper, defending the goal away to our left-hand side. And Birmingham unbeaten in their last 8 at home against Sunderland since September of 1997, when Sunderland won by 1-0 here, and a player called Mickey Gray scored the only goal. Whatever happened to him? Now Huggins once again, but his ball forward is quickly cut out by Deeney, who scored in the final moments here for Birmingham to rescue a point in the 2-2 draw against Swansea on Tuesday. Birmingham started that game very well, but just began to run out of steam in the second half, and Swansea yet again conceding very late in games. Bakuna, who has undergone a peroxide rinse since we last saw him play here against Queen's Park Rangers, wide on this near side. Infield towards Bielik now, and his ball wide to Trusty is quickly cut out, and Sunderland will try and break forward with Diallo. Now Evans, who pirouettes in the midfield into the path of Pritchard. And Evans once again on the far side, and the ball into the channel for Sims, who plays it back in field. But if Sims is making those runs to the wide area, he'll need support in the centre, and there was no one there on that occasion.
Yeah, and that's what we spoke about before the game in terms of that service into Sims. Look, if it's going up to him, if he's holding up, it's going to be a battle with Sanderson, who he's up against now. So there needs to make sure that there's angles for him to either set the ball or the running behind for the flick on, because he's going to need that service tonight.
2 minutes played on Talksport 2 at St Andrews. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk and Nigel Adderley, your commentary team here this evening. And it's still goalless between Birmingham and Sunderland. Birmingham 10th in the table, but unbeaten in their previous 6 home games, although 4 of those have been drawn. Now Bakuna coming forward down the right-hand side. Beyond Huggins, swings in the cross towards the near post. Headed away by Bart. Nodded down by Collan, and now Pritchard wins it back for Sunderland. Plays the 1-2 with Clark, and he will try and break over the halfway line, and it's a good ball forward. And there was an opportunity here for Neil to play the cross into the penalty area, and it's cleared well up the far post. John Ruddy doing well to make the block inside the penalty area as Ellis Sims looked to bear down on the far post.
Yeah, he did extremely well there, didn't he? And I think Trusty as well just about does enough to try and put him off as well. So between them they managed to get it away, but it's a good piece of play there from Sunderland, attacking those wide areas and finding the gap down that left-hand channel.
Now Collan down the line on this near side, but he's put under pressure from Clark, and Tony Mowbray applauds that as Sunderland have a throw-in. Of course, Tony Mowbray had great success in the West Midlands, winning the championship with West Bromwich Albion. And now Sims looking to spin away from Sanderson on the edge of the penalty area, and his shirt was pulled, and the Everton loanee has won a free kick here for Sunderland in a good position, left of centre, about 22 yards out.
Yeah, he does really well, doesn't he? And again, sort of that match-up between himself and Sanderson, I definitely think that's going to be the one to watch. It's going to be a great battle for this 90 minutes.
Alex Pritchard is over the free kick for Sunderland. Only has one goal so far this season, a player who was a major part of Huddersfield's time in the Premier League. And he's over the free kick along with the Manchester United loanee Ahmad Diallo. He has a couple of goals since arriving from Old Trafford, but they may be looking to exploit the height here at the far post. Players like Corey Evans and Danny Bart. And at the moment, Sunderland are outnumbering Birmingham in that area of the field. Pritchard, though, whips the shot into the near post. It strikes Didi, then the rebound from Pritchard is hit, and he slipped as he struck it, but Ruddy still had to make a save.
Yeah, he did, and initially it's poor, strikes the wall, it does its job, but as it comes back to him here, I think this ball comes through quite a few bodies, so John Ruddy really does have to be alert there, because I think he would have seen that quite late.
And it was a good save from Ruddy. Now 36 years of age, he's not been a regular for some time. When he was the Wolves #1 when they won the championship back in 2017, he had to bide his time behind a variety of goalkeepers at Molineux during his time during the Premier League era there, but could be a very good signing for Birmingham. Here is Bakuna now coming forward, looks to break into the penalty area, but Huggins does well to recover this time, and it's fairly clear, Courtney, they're looking to target Huggins here in the opening moments.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, exploiting those wide areas is what Birmingham do quite so well anyway, but you know, in terms of when you're looking at a player that's not played for such a prolonged period of time, you target them, and it doesn't sound nice, but you know, that's football and that's what happens.
Corner kick's been given, which Hannibal will take. Another Manchester United loanee, Tunisian international. And he drives the corner high towards the far post. Trusty was coming around the back. We saw him score in bizarre circumstances in that game against Queen's Park Rangers, and he managed to get a header on target there, but it was blocked at the far post. A good block from Bailey Wright, and it will be another corner to Birmingham, and this time Hannibal will have the opportunity to swing this ball in, and Birmingham have scored more goals in the opening 15 minutes of games than any other team in the championship so far this season, 7 times.
Yeah, and I think the set pieces as well, it is definitely a big plus for them, and Trusty scored a few now from set pieces, hasn't he?
Half a dozen Birmingham shirts make the run into the near post. It was whipped in by Hannibal, headed away by Huggins, back towards Hannibal again, and now the cross is flicked on by Sanderson. Deeney with the header off the crossbar, nodded down by Hogan, and it's into the arms of Patterson. And Troy Deeney, who scored very late on here on Tuesday, almost came up with another early goal for Birmingham there.
Yeah, and he's got a wry smile on his face now, but he'll be gutted, but I don't think there's a lot more he can do with that. Comes from the second phase of that corner, and he does really well, gets across the defender there, and you see what he's trying to do, just trying to find that top left-hand corner, but crossbar comes to the save of the Sunderland goalkeeper.
And he was in very good spirits, Troy Deeney, when myself and Tom Ross said hello to him about an hour and a half before kick-off at pitchside. And he's currently starting in a 2 with Scott Hogan, and I think Hogan benefits from that as well, as Deeney does well to win it back on this near side from Huggins. Only 21 years of age, Niall Huggins, signed from Leeds United with very little football behind him in recent years due to injury, and this could be a real baptism of fire for him tonight up against players like Hogan and Deeney, who have been around the block and know how to create opportunities in the championship. Now Pritchard for Sunderland, lofts it wide to this near side, looking for Clark, and he will get there before Collan, but then just allows the ball to evade his grasp, but it bounces out of play, and it will be a throw-in for Birmingham on this near side. With 8 minutes played, and it's still 0-0 here.
Yeah, and as you say, for him to come back into this side, it's it could be very much a baptism of fire tonight. But that's how it is. You've got to come back from those injuries. You have to start somewhere, but Birmingham will definitely be looking to exploit that.
Deeney looking to spread the play and pick out Longelo wide on the left, but the pass was overhit, although Longelo has thumbs up, appreciates the intention, and it will be a throw in to Sunderland. And don't forget, the World Cup is looming, and we will have commentary on every single game across the Talksport network. And many of us are heading out to Qatar towards the end of next week, and the first game a week on Sunday, Ecuador taking on the host nation Qatar, and it is going to be a very special occasion indeed. And there are so many big games coming up in the opening weeks of the World Cup, the opening days. And of course on Monday the 21st of November, week on Monday, 1 o'clock, England against Iran, Netherlands Senegal at 4 o'clock, and then Wales against USA at 7 o'clock. All of those games are live across the Talksport network. And before then, we have a big weekend of action coming up in the Premier League. 12:30 tomorrow, game day back with Manchester City against Brentford, with Rashman Chowdhury, Sam Matterface and Mickey Gray. Spurs against Leeds here on Talksport as well at 3 o'clock with Ian Danta and Perry Groves, as Bellingham does well to bring a high ball down on the far side. Now Hannibal looking to twist and turn. He's got support from Bielik. He goes all the way back towards Trusty, and here is Sanderson. And a Saturday night game coming up on Talksport tomorrow. Wolves against Arsenal at 7:45 with Clive Tilsley and Critowellamo. And then a big game on Sunday here on Talksport 2. An East Lancashire derby. And very few have been played for higher stakes than the ones currently facing both Burnley and Blackburn. 12:30 kick-off, commentary from Steve Hothersall and Mickey Gray, who was a former Blackburn player, will be heading into Turf Moor under a blanket. Free kick's been given here to Birmingham City inside the centre circle for some shirt pulling. 11 minutes played here, and despite their injury problems, Sunderland have come out to play.
Yeah, and I think they're doing well, especially down this left-hand side below us, because Birmingham do play at 3 at the back. Obviously they give Sunderland the width, and they have tried to exploit that a couple of times now, but I do think so far, considering everything that we've said pre-match about the schedule, that Birmingham have started well in terms of the tempo and are just edging it for me.
Bailey Wright plays the ball out to the back for Sunderland on the right-hand side, down the line looking for Pritchard. Trusty's clearance almost gives it back to Birmingham, but a lovely turn from Hannibal. Quickly forward on the far side from Bellingham. He's been fouled, and it will be a free kick. In fact, it was Longelo who was caught. It will be a free kick for Birmingham, midway inside the Sunderland half out on the left.
It's a big opportunity, isn't it, for Birmingham? We've spoke about that threat that they have with both Deeney and Hogan, both good in the air, and they seem to always be good as well, Birmingham, from the second phases. Against Bristol, scored 3 goals from set pieces that day at St Andrews, so they've definitely posed a threat from set pieces.
Hannibal over the free kick again, and he will whip this ball in, right-footed, high towards the far post. Trusty again arriving late, and he was up above Ellis Sims, but he glances the ball behind, and it will be a goal kick. And Sunderland have a player down, Bailey Wright, inside the penalty area, and Andy Madley may just give him a moment to recover his bearings here. And we're looking at, of course, Job Bellingham here tonight. Inevitably he will be one of the headline players, and if anything he's a bit slighter than Jude was at this age.
Yeah, and I think, say, probably slightly different in the way that they play as well, and it's probably a good thing really for him, because especially if they're playing very similar players in the same position, there would automatically be that comparison. Don't get me wrong, there already is. As I say, I think having Bellingham on the back of your shirt now carries a different sort of weight for the youngster. But I think early on in his exchanges he's done well. He's not hid, he's tried to get on the ball, he's been confident, and yeah, that's all he needs to do, just to work himself into the game. And I think always, for me, for young players, you see sometimes they maybe hide, they're a bit nervous, but that doesn't, the occasion doesn't seem to be bothering him today.
No, and of course there will always be the comparisons, but maybe physically he looks like a 17-year-old at the moment, a bit gangly, whereas at the age of 16 Jude Bellingham looked like a 25-year-old in terms of physicality.
Like a fully grown man already, didn't he?
Yeah, and you need to be a good player in the Championship.
Yeah, exactly. I think there is that, at all levels of football, obviously there's that physicality, but yeah, the Championship definitely brings that, and to be competing, just saying, the Championship week in, week out, I think you need to have a certain set of physical attributes that obviously Jude had at that point in time.
Well, Bailey Wright is still down, and he was caught actually by Trusty. It was an accidental collision, I think. Trusty went up, and then I think it was almost a combination of Trusty and Sims which seemed to catch Bailey Wright, and there is an injury, maybe a cut on the side of his head. Yeah,
it seems the physio's attending to that, so potentially, it depends how deep it is, they might take him in and stitch him, or they might glue it there and then and just put a bandage off, a la sort of Terry Butcher, and off you go.
Well, he's back on his feet at the moment, and of course they will have to do the concussion protocols as well, with it being a head injury. He looks okay to carry on, and there doesn't look to have been too much blood spilt, so he should be okay. But I'm sure every time a player goes down at the moment, Tony Mowbray is looking and thinking, oh blimey, I just need the injury list to be eased. And of course Bailey Wright is heading to the World Cup with Australia, so he'll be keen to get through this game unscathed as well.
Yeah, I think it's the point, isn't it, where whether it be players or managers alike, all holding their breath at the moment, hoping that their players can just get through the game, because I think you look at so many clubs now, the injury list just seems to be getting bigger and bigger.
Now Pritchard, and it's cut out by Bakuna, and we've heard so much about the Premier League having a break. Of course the Championship will close down for 3 or 4 weeks as well, which I'm sure will be welcomed by some managers and maybe not others, but that's the nature of the competition at the moment.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, because as you say, the clubs with a bit of an injury list, they'll probably be pleased. Time to get injured players back off the physio table, back into the training pitch. But for the teams that have got so much momentum and in a good place, you almost don't want to stop that momentum. So it's a difficult one, but with this Winter World Cup, it is what it is.
Yeah, Hannibal, the Birmingham midfielder, will also be travelling out to Qatar with Tunisia, and they've got the French in their group, and that should be some game for all sorts of reasons. Now Neil for Sunderland, we're back underway here. 16 minutes played, no goals. It's been a rather stop-start game, as Corey Evans pokes it forward looking for Sims, but it's quickly cut out by Bielik, and now Deeney with the ball over the top looking for Hogan, who was goal side just for a second there, Rabat, but it's claimed well by Anthony Patterson. Yeah,
it's a good run though from Hogan. It's definitely the right idea. It was just a little bit too much on the pass from Troy Deeney, but again the intent is exactly right.
Now Bakuna once again infield towards Hogan, and Bakuna was taken down late there by Clark, and it will be a free kick, and Andy Madley will have at least a word. Hannibal is also having his say, and even though he is a teenager, he is somebody who was extremely vocal on the pitch for a variety of reasons, and Hannibal is continuing to have a conversation with Alex Pritchard, and they were both wheeling around their arms there. It was all a bit silly, and Andy Madley will just pull Hannibal aside and have a quiet word. Yeah,
he's definitely not backwards in coming forwards, is he? And it's something that I like about him in one sense.
He should have been sent off here in the QPR game.
I was literally just about to say that, so he's got to be very careful. Look, it's good to have a bit of personality, a bit of bite about you. I love that about players, but he's probably still too young to sort of control that at the moment. And John Eustace was exactly right when we were here, when they were playing QPR, to get him off, because he probably knew if he didn't take him off he was going to get sent off. So that's something that obviously going forward in his career he's got to be able to sort of control.
Yeah, he was one more challenge away from being sent off. I mean, it was a a debatable yellow card, the first one he got against Queen's Park Rangers, but really there shouldn't have been any doubt about the second one, which he didn't get.
No, I totally agree. As you say, first one maybe a bit debatable, but that second one he should have been off, and John Eustace, great man management, recognised that, and as I say, got him off before he was shown the red.
Free kick, swirled in by Hannibal once again, flicked clear by Ellis Sims at the far post. Still goalless here at St Andrews on Talksport 2. And of course Talksport 2 is the home of the Autumn Internationals. 4 more games coming up tomorrow across Talksport 2, with all of the football moved on to Talksport, including the 3 o'clock commentary, Spurs against Leeds. And even though the World Cup is about to get underway, we will continue our coverage of the EFL on the home of the EFL Talksport 2. League One action, big game as well at Fratton Park between Portsmouth and Derby coming up this time next week. And also next weekend, Game Day Live with Adrian Durham will come live from Qatar with all the goals as they go in from here in the UK. And Arsenal against Manchester United, a big game in the Women's Super League, will be live on Talksport 2 at 5:30. United, of course, losing their first game of the season, conceding their first goals of the season against Chelsea last week. Birmingham have given the ball away, and there is an opportunity here for Diallo to attack the penalty area. Scoops it across, looking for Clark, headed away by Collan. Now the barrel-chested figure of Deeney controls, and under pressure from Neil goes all the way back towards John Ruddy once again.
Yeah, does really well there though, Deeney. First to react when the ball drops, and uses all of the experience just to keep control of the ball. Birmingham keep possession, and they can build from the back again.
Now Sanderson, wide towards Collan, playing as one of 3 central defenders this evening. Bielik's ball forward was quickly cut out by Huggins, who is gradually growing into the game, but now it's been given away by Neil, but quickly won back by Bielik. And here is Hannibal coming forward on this near side, but he runs into Danny Bart, who is a fairly solid figure, and Sunderland quickly have it back. Here is Huggins again, wide towards the former Leeds youngster Jack Clark, and Clark turning into Collan, and Birmingham will try and build here, but Sunderland are working extremely hard without the ball to try and prevent the opportunities, and Sims was almost in on the edge of the penalty area as Longelo and Trusty just tell each other to calm down as Birmingham almost give the ball away in a dangerous area once again.
Yeah, and that's a couple of times now, isn't it, in a short space of time. So I think Ruddy's doing the right thing now in terms of getting his side out, and getting him out that defensive space, because a couple of errors in those last couple of minutes is not what they need.
And we mentioned that Birmingham start games so quickly, but Sunderland have done a pretty good job of nullifying the clear-cut chances so far. 21 minutes played here at St Andrews. 0-0. As it's won back by Hogan from Huggins down the right. Crossed in looking for Deeney, but Bailey Wright is able to ensure the ball skips across the penalty area, and it's gathered at the far post and then quickly cleared downfield by Trey Hume. And Hume again plays the ball back in field, and it's launched long downfield by Wright, looking for Pritchard, but overhit. And Trusty, on loan from Arsenal, just hammers the ball into the sky once again, and it bounces favourably for Birmingham initially, but then there was a foul there on Bellingham as he looked to bring the ball forward and find Deeney, and Birmingham City had the free kick once again.
Yeah, Bellingham does well there. He's just quite clever with how he uses his body, make sure he gets himself in between the ball and the defender, and draws the foul. And I think last couple of minutes now it's been a bit scrappy from both sides. It needs someone just with a bit experience and a calm head to calm the game down.
England leading Japan by 2-0 in the Women's International going on in Murcia in Spain. Rachel Daly and Chloe Kelly have scored the goals either side of half-time. It's a big win for Germany overnight, winning away to USA with a goal in the final moments. As Hannibal comes forward now, and his cross into the penalty area is overhit, and it goes behind. And with your women's football hat on, of course you play for Sheffield United, ladies, these are only friendly games, but with the World Cup on the horizon, a fairly distant horizon at this stage, Serena Wiegman will be looking for more pointers and more people to maybe give themselves an opportunity.
Yeah, definitely, and I think what I like about Wiegman since she's come in, she's not being afraid to introduce new players into the fold. She's picking players on form. Obviously you've got a couple of retirees in Jill Scott and Ellen White after the Euro, so that automatically opens a couple of spots. So yeah, for players like Lauren James, for example, that have been called up to the camp, it's a big opportunity.
Now Pritchard quickly plays it forward to Diallo on the edge of the penalty area for Sunderland, and he's done well to find Sims. Sims with a low shot into the back of the net, and Sunderland take the lead. Excellent finish from Ellis Sims, but it was Ahmad Diallo who made it with some wonderful footwork on the edge of the penalty area. Sims not picked up by Austin Trusty, and his low finish gave Ruddy absolutely no chance. And with 24 minutes played, it's Birmingham 0, Sunderland 1.
As you say, it's a lovely finish by Sims, but initially it's all about Diallo. But what I like about Sims here is he keeps himself in contention, keeps himself onside, and then the strike is low and hard across the goalkeeper. But Diallo, I don't think he quite knows how he gets out of here. It's a fantastic piece of close control, and you just expected him not to come away with the ball, but he does. And then when he does turn, he's got the presence of mind to find Sims, who does well to keep himself onside. A good touch in front of him to the right hand side of the box, and then hits it hard and low across John Ruddy into the bottom left hand corner.
And do you point fingers there at Austin Trusty, because he rather got sucked in towards the ball, didn't he? Yeah,
he did. I think a lot of the defenders did there. There was 3 or 4 players actually around the Diallo trying to win the ball off him, and unfortunately, when you draw that many players in, defenders in, then it does leave someone clear. But what I liked about Sims is you see so many times there where forwards they go offside, but he keeps himself across the line. He's looking across the line and does really well and slots it home.
And we welcome listeners from Talksport to St Andrews, where Sunderland have just taken the lead against Birmingham City. Ellis Sims scoring his first goal since the 13th of August. Well made though by Ahmad Diallo, 2 Premier League loanees combining. Diallo with the footwork and the perceptive through ball on the edge of the penalty area, and Ellis Sims was given the freedom of that penalty area by Birmingham City to drive it low beyond John Ruddy. And Birmingham, who have been so good at home recently, are a goal down against the Sunderland side, lacking so many players due to injury. But Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, they deserve to be ahead.
Yeah, they did, and I think it was the first moment of real quality for Sunderland. Birmingham have already hit the bar through Troy Deeney, but probably the best chance of the game, and you've shown that it's clinical. But for me, Diallo is just fantastic working. He's one of them danger players. He does attract defenders, and that's what happened there. There were 3 or 4 Birmingham defenders around him, and initially then when he does come out with the ball, he's got the presence of mind just to lay it to his right hand side to Sims, who initially, I think, I love his touch, big touch in front of him, takes out Trusty and then drills it hard and low across John Ruddy.
And Sunderland looking to come forward again now with Clark, who is in space down the left-hand side. Pritchard and Sims wait inside the penalty area. Clark goes himself, though, and eventually is hauled down by Hannibal right on the edge of the penalty area. He is often a yellow card waiting to happen, the Manchester United loanee, and he receives one there.
Yeah, and I think it's great work from Clark, though. You can see what he's trying to do. He's just trying to get half a yard to fashion a shot, to try and unleash one. But it's again, great close footwork, and Hannibal's probably a little bit lucky there, because initially Jack Clark is in the box. He sort of doesn't get him at the first bite, gets him at the second bite, and gives away the free kick probably about 19 yards out.
And we will just see this free kick for Sunderland at a very, very good area, only a yard outside the box. Ahmad Diallo and Alex Pritchard are over this. Sunderland leading by a 0-0. Ellis Sims, with his first in 10 games, scored 3 in his first 2 games for Sunderland, but he's found it harder going since. Of course, he's had spells out of the side due to injury as well. It'll be Diallo with the left foot or Pritchard with the right foot here, as John Ruddy looks to try and organise his wall. Everybody back defending here for Birmingham, and it's Pritchard who kills it low through the wall and just wide. A goal kick has been given. Sunderland close to a second. It is Birmingham 0, Sunderland 1. Commentary continues on Talksport 2. And Sunderland are convinced they should have had a corner.
Yeah, and looking back at this replay, we've got the benefit of the monitors above us, and I do think that it does just take a little nick off Birmingham defender there. Is it Hogan? I think it goes through his legs, but we'll see it better here. It does take a little nick as it goes through the legs there. So Sunderland unfortunate that they haven't got the corner.
But they have got the opening goal, and their supporters away to our right are in great voice here. Of course, Birmingham came from behind to equalise against Swansea on Tuesday, and while their form overall has been very good, only 2 losses in 13 games, they've only scored 22 goals in 20 games, and we spoke before the game about Hogan's production rate as Bart heads away a free kick inside the penalty area. Hogan has a very good goal-to-shot conversion, but it also suggests he's not really getting too many chances.
Yeah, and as you say, it's a good job that his conversion rate is as good as it is, because there's probably been a lack of opportunities for him. And again, you see the way that the rest of the goals are spread out. Hogan on 9, but then the next 2 top goal scorers are Deeney and Trusty on 3. So, it's great when you've got a forward in form that's scoring goals, but the ideal world is you want goals to come from all over the pitch.
Here is Bierlich. Again, it's a poor ball from him. You often see him as a model of reliability in the Birmingham midfield, but there have been 1 or 2 wayward passes from him so far this evening. Here is Sanderson now, high right-footed ball forward, looking for Hogan, but headed away comfortably by Wright. Now Sanderson once again, who tries to chest the ball down into the path of Bellingham. And Bellingham was the player who lost out to Diallo when he was effectively on the ground in the build-up to that goal, but there were a number of Birmingham players who were culpable, really. It's unlike them this season to see them standing off as they did. Deeney now does well to win a header on the edge of the penalty area, tries to link up with Hogan, but it's hooked clear by Bart. And now Pritchard finding Clark. Clark with the ball forward over the top, and Trusty will guide it back towards Ruddy once again. And John Eustace, the Birmingham manager, has ordered his players to take a week's holiday with their families following this game.
I imagine they won't need telling twice.
No. I'm sure those with the younger kids will be writing the letters to the primary schools, but I understand he's got a child in senior schools. He's got to stay at home. Cleared away by Patterson now, the Sunderland goalkeeper, from inside the 6-yard area. And now Evans again spins and plays it wide to the far side, and Hume brings it forward down the right, and he's very quick, but he plays a crossing which is overhit and beyond the far post and behind for a goal kick. But once again, Tony Mowbray applauds, because down the sides at the moment, Sunderland are getting far too much joy from a Birmingham point of view.
Yeah, and I think where they're getting the most joy is on that transition, as I say, because Birmingham do play the 3 at the back. When they get the wing backs really high, but Sunderland manage to then get it back on the transition, there's so much space in the wide areas, and that's where they are causing Birmingham a bit of damage.
Here is Diallo once again for Sunderland, wide on the right-hand side. Sims waits inside the 6-yard area, tries to pull it back though for Pritchard, and it's Bellingham who comes back to tidy up with the help of Trusty for Birmingham City. But on the halfway line, it is quickly won back by Bailey Wright. Now Trey Hume, player signed from Linfield, the Northern Ireland under-21 international. And Anthony Patterson, another youngster, has come through the Sunderland Academy, their goalkeeper. Plays it forward, and it's quickly controlled by Huggins on this near side, who after a difficult start to the game has played really well. Now Clark coming forward again, taking on Colin on the outside. He goes down, claiming he was shoved over, but the referee waves away the appeals, and now Hannibal with the early ball forward, clicked away though by Bart. And now Pritchard for Sunderland, and they are playing the much more controlled football at the moment.
Yeah, I think since the goal you see that it's given Sunderland confidence. They've been a lot better in possession, keeping possession for longer periods of time, and looking more dangerous than they did before the goal.
Sunderland with 3 of the 4 shots on target in the game so far. They've only had 2 touches inside the opposition penalty area, but that's been enough to earn them the lead here. Of course, Troy Deeney hit the crossbar early on for Birmingham. Sharp header, which he was unable to keep down, but apart from that, Sunderland have defended fairly comfortably. Yeah,
I think they've defended well. They've coped with the threat of Hogan and Deeney. and then, as I say, when they've got the opportunity to exploit Birmingham and those wide areas, they've managed to get the ball forward really quickly.
And 14 of Sunderland's 24 points so far this season have come away from home. They've won at Bristol City, Stoke, Reading and Huddersfield, and it's only 2 wins in 9 at the Stadium of Light, which you believed would really have to be a fortress for them to make any progress this season. Cardiff won there by 1-0 last week, and they have left a number of points out on the field there. Seni Dieng, the Queen's Park Rangers goalkeeper, scored an equaliser in added time early in the season, and they were also 2 goals up at half-time against Burnley recently and lost 4-2. Now Trusty plays it forward for Birmingham, but under pressure it was a fairly aimless ball, and it's gathered by Bailey Wright once again.
You just see as well where Sunderland are now starting to have possession a lot higher up the pitch, seem to be pushing Birmingham back and putting them on the back foot, whereas in the early exchanges I felt it was Birmingham doing that to Sunderland.
Don't forget Manchester City against Brentford, 12:30 tomorrow on Talksport. Game day live with Adrian Durham. That comes live from West Ham against Leicester. Spurs against Leeds is the commentary game on Talksport, with the Autumn Nations rugby here on Talksport 2, and then Wolves against Arsenal, 7:45 on Talksport as well, with Clive Tilsley and Chris Owellamo. Burnley against Blackburn, massive game from the Championship, 12:30 on Sunday. The Championship game of the season so far, and when those two meet, feelings always run high. Hannibal coming forward now for Birmingham, slips it wide to the right. Pakuda pings it across the face of goal. I think Hogan was just trying to divert the ball in, but in the end he blocked the shot. There's another Sunderland player down inside the penalty area. It's Danny Bart this time, but play continues. Here is Bielik bringing the ball forward. Wide again to this near side. And Bellingham, who does well to maintain possession. And Collan into the path of Deeney, but it's cut out by Danny Bart. And I'm sure that defenders like Danny Bart and Bailey Wright will relish a confrontation with somebody like Troy Deeney, because it's almost the sort of battle with the centre forwards you don't often have these days, because they're all quick like you.
Well, I don't know about that. I'm getting a bit old now, but yeah, it's definitely, you know, maybe a bit of a dying art in the way that football evolves and playing out from the back and playing more on the floor. But yeah, Troy Deeney is a bit more old school in that sense, and I think it's great to have, because as I say, in terms of the relationship between himself and Hogan's probably got a little bit more legs, more of a runner, will run in behind, and you see Troy Deeney coming in to win the balls, flick balls on, and Hogan running in behind.
Are the first 5 yards in your head these days?
Yeah, something like that. I let all the kids do the running now.
Yes, exactly. That's how it should be. Here is Hogan now, running the channels for Birmingham down the right. He's got support from Hannibal, who burst into the penalty area, but it's covered well by Neil, and Neil with a really good job there shepherds the ball behind, and then there are afters between Neil and Hannibal once again, and Hannibal on a yellow card just needs to be careful, or John Eustace will be hooking him early once again.
He does. He needs to be very careful here, just getting drawn into the confrontation, and again, sort of the dark side of the game. These Sunderland players all know about his temperament, and know that the fact he's on a yellow card will wind him up, will be maybe leaving a little bit on him, because they know that with his temperament he's likely to lash out and potentially get himself sent off.
If you want to follow the Autumn Nations rugby tomorrow, we start at noon here on Talksport 2 with Ireland against Fiji. Then at 3 o'clock, attention switches to Twickenham. England are taking on Japan. At 5:15, Wales against Argentina. And then at 7:30, France against South Africa, live from Marseille. All of those games live and exclusive on Talksport 2 tomorrow. And Andy Madley is now having words with Alex Pritchard, and there's a bit of an undercurrent just developing in this game.
Yeah, it's just starting to get a bit spicy, isn't it?
And Hannibal continues to be at the heart of it for Birmingham, and he's, in fairness, seeking out Alex Pritchard now, and there's a bit of a handshake between the pair of them. But Sunderland will know that Hannibal has a blue touch paper, and he's very keen to light it on a number of occasions. 38 minutes played here. Sunderland leading by a 1-0 on Talksport 2 as it's headed back by Longelo towards Ruddy once again. And as an attacking force, Birmingham are offering very little in this game at the moment.
Yeah, and I think we spoke about Chong before the game, and he's a player that I really enjoy watching, and for me it's the link between the midfield and the forwards at the moment that isn't quite there, and that's what he brings. So wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the second half, or maybe even a change at half time.
Bielik now with a good ball forward across the field for Bellingham, who turns and plays it further wide to the left, and Trusty down the line for Longelo, who scored an excellent goal in our last visit here a couple of weeks ago in the win against Queen's Park Rangers. And Birmingham have not lost since. Draws against Millwall and Swansea, and a win at Stoke. Hogan on the turn, he was caught as he found Deeney, but play continues, and Deeney with an excellent ball back to Hogan, one-on-one with Patterson, but Patterson made himself big and makes a very good block. Now Bellingham looking to twist and turn on the edge of the penalty area. One back by Deeney now, and wide to Bakuna once again, who cuts in field from the right hand side. Left foot shot is deflected, loops into the penalty area. Deeney briefly won it back, and then Neal diverts it back towards Patterson. Now, was that a back pass? Not according to the officials.
No, I don't think it was. I think he's just trying to get a touch on it. Yes, it goes back to his keeper, Patterson, but let's talk about this. Again, that link up between Deeney and Hogan. I was wondering whether he was offside. Looking at the replay, he's timed his run extremely well, but then I've got to say Patterson, I think, does well in terms of he keeps himself big for a long period of time, makes it difficult for Hogan, who can only find I think it was the body of the keeper.
It just took him a couple of seconds to get the ball out of his feet, which gave Patterson time to narrow the angle.
It did, yeah. He probably would have been better served trying to take it round the keeper at that point, but the ball came at him so quick it was difficult for him to sort his feet out quick enough.
4.5 minutes to play in the first half here on Talksport 2. Birmingham 0, Sunderland 1. Ellis Sims with his first goal in 10 games, and he's in the action again here on the far side, challenged by Sanderson, but it's a throw-in to Blues on the far side. And so often this season we have seen them overwhelm teams here at St Andrews, but not so far here this evening. England now leading by 3-0 against Japan. Ella Toone, the Manchester United player, has scored the latest goal late in that game, so it's a comfortable victory for England, as many people anticipated, against the former world champions, as Hannibal now has been caught in the midfield area, and the yellow card will be shown towards Niall Huggins. In fairness to Huggins, I don't think he saw Hannibal coming, and he was quickly onto it, the Tunisian, and there's no doubt he was caught, and there's no doubt it's a yellow card.
Yeah, I totally agree, Nigel, but it was just, you wondered about Hannibal's reaction there, didn't you? The way that he went down, he didn't look happy, and was wondering how much he is going to light up after that.
Deeney with the cross into the penalty area, nodded down by Bellingham in the end, but he almost got on top of the header, pecked at it towards goal, and it's a comfortable save for Patterson. But once again, there is a Sunderland player down inside the penalty area, and that's happened on one or two occasions. I think it's Corey Evans this time, but he looks okay to continue.
Yeah, it was difficult the way that come to Bellingham there. It was one of those awkward heights. You can't kick it. It's probably a bit low to try and head it. There's not much pace on that ball either, so he's got to try and generate it all, and he just heads it into the turf, and it takes all the pace off it for Patterson.
Now Bielik just overrunning the ball as he tries to drive through midfield. Hogan almost wins it back on the edge of the penalty area. Good challenge though by Huggins. Evans with a poor ball forward, told everyone to calm down, and then gave the ball away straight to Bellingham. Bellingham goes back towards Collan. You can sense from the home crowd they are desperate for Joe Bellingham to do well here. Every time he does something, there is warm applause for him.
Yeah, I think what he's done though is he's been calm, he's been consistent.
Neat and tidy.
Yeah, he's not tried to do anything too fancy, but everything he's done the basics well.
Now Hogan found by Deeney on the edge of the penalty area. His shot on the turn this time deflects off the heel of Bailey Wright and goes behind for a Birmingham corner.
Very similar as well, that position that Hogan picked up, slightly different in terms of where they ended because of the pace on the ball, but the way that him and Deeney link up, the way that say Deeney drops in and then he runs the defence back. It's definitely a very good relationship and one that's tight and almost on an automatic.
Corner kick on the far side, which Hannibal will take once again, and Birmingham have 4 players grouped beyond the far post. Then they will try and cause havoc by running across the penalty area, but again the delivery to the near post area is headed away by Huggins and then played wide on the far side and straight out of play, and the opportunity comes to nothing.
Yeah, and I think it was the ball in as well. You see all the Birmingham players loaded up at the back stick, and it doesn't even beat the first Sunderland man there, so it'll be disappointing because, as I say, they're very good from set pieces, Birmingham, when the ball in is right.
Final moments of the first half here. Birmingham City losing here, and Jude Bellingham's Borussia Dortmund are also in action tonight, and they're 4-2 down at Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Bundesliga, so it's not been a great night for the Bellingham family so far, but of course things can change. And Birmingham, I'm sure, attacking the Tilton Road end away to our left-hand side, will be offering a bit more in the second half. They've actually had more shots than Sunderland now, 6-5, but Sunderland have produced more efforts on target in the game, and they've just played a smarter game at times in both penalty areas, as the fourth official, Sonny Gill, indicates there will be a minimum of 3 more minutes here at the end of the first half, with Sunderland leading by a 1-0 on Talksport 2, the home of the EFL. Ellis Sims the scorer. Now Longelo wins it back from Pritchard on the far side, but just pokes it straight out of play. And we do forget, it is a very young Birmingham team in some areas. Of course, they have the experience of players like Hogan and Deeney in attack, but Trusty's a player making his way in the game. So too is Dion Sanderson on loan from Wolves. And you can learn some harsh lessons very quickly in the Championship.
Yeah, definitely, and I think you can't underestimate, though, the job that John Eustace has done with this squad, with these players, and I would say is definitely getting the best out of them. But as you say, I think especially in the Championship, it's such a difficult league, and experience always shows in the end.
And Emmanuel Longelo also on loan from West Ham as well, and I suppose January will be a nervous time for managers at all levels. You've got players on loan who've done well in the first half of the season. I'll just be hoping that those deals are maintained for the full campaign. Now Huggins coming forward for Sunderland. Good ball wide to this near side, and Clark just pokes it against the body of Collan, but the final touch was off Clark, and it will be a throw into Birmingham on this near side, with 90 seconds of added time to play at the end of the first half here, with Sunderland leading by a 1-0. Ellis Sims scoring after 25 minutes. Now Sanderson back towards Ruddy. He now clears long downfield. Again Deeney winning the ball in the air, but he only guides the header straight out of play on this occasion, and it will be a throw-in to Sunderland. And one or two Birmingham fans around us just heading downstairs, because it's been that sort of first half for them.
Yeah, it has, but I think, in the end, realistically, the early chance from Deeney, that chance from Scott Hogan, they've probably had the better, more clear-cut chances than Sunderland. It's just they've definitely been a lot more clinical, and they've managed to get the noses in front.
England have beaten Japan by 4-0. Jess Park scoring the final goal in added time to add to the earlier ones from Rachel Daly, Chloe Kelly and Ella Toon. So another big win for Serena Wiegman's team. Huggins was just down briefly for Sunderland on this near side, but he will take the throw-in as we enter the final 20 seconds or so of added time at the end of the first half here. And Tony Mowbray will be delighted that a patched-up team has come away from home and has seemingly taken a half-time lead. But here is Bakuna on the halfway line. Now Collan drives it forward, and that is half-time, and a rather muted response from many of the Birmingham supporters here, because Sunderland deserve to be ahead. Ellis Sims capitalising on some excellent work from Ahmad Diallo to give Sunderland the lead after 25 minutes. Troy Deeney hit the crossbar early on, Scott Hogan was denied by an excellent one-on-one save from Anthony Patterson, but Birmingham so far have been frustrated. Half-time, Birmingham 0, Sunderland 1. Thank you, Dan. And here are the two teams once again. There don't look to be any changes made by either side. Birmingham, Ruddy in goal, Colin Sanderson and Trusty the back three. Across midfield, it is Bakuna, Hannibal, Bellingham, Bielik and Longelo, with Deeney and Hogan in attack. For Sunderland, Patterson is in goal, Hume, Wright, Bart and Huggins the back four, Neil and Evans anchoring midfield, with Pritchard, Diallo and Clark behind the goal scorer Sims. And it's Sunderland who will get the second half underway in their red and white stripes, black shorts and red socks, attacking towards their own supporters, who have half of the lower tier of the railway end away to our right hand side. Birmingham City in all blue, and they have had chances, both Troy Deeney and Scott Hogan going close during the first half, but it's Sunderland who lead as they get the second half underway. And in the final match before the World Cup break, both will be desperately keen to take something from this, to just try and give them a moment of positivity on the training ground to look back on for those players who aren't going to Qatar. Of course, we do have one or two on the field who are. Christian Bielik has been called up for the Polish squad. That was only announced yesterday. The Birmingham midfielder Hannibal, as we've mentioned, will also be going with Tunisia, and Bailey Wright with Australia, as the ball is boomed onto the roof of the stand on the far side by Bakuna, and it will be a throw in to Sunderland as they attack right by the corner flag on the far side. And it's thrown in towards the edge of the penalty area, now played back towards Pritchard. His cross is driven in, and I think Diallo was shaping for the volley there, but Sims rather took the ball off him. But here is Diallo, who has been a real box of tricks at times, notably in setting up the goal, and he's twisting and turning now beyond Bellingham, plays the 1-2 with Evans. The challenge comes in from Trusty, and Trusty does well to recover and avoid the corner, sweeps it out of play on the near side, and it will be a throw into Sunderland.
Yeah, does well in the end, doesn't he, Trusty, not to let that go out from a corner. But you're probably expecting Birmingham the ones to come out flying to try and get rid of that one goal deficit, but it's Sunderland on top at the moment.
And the ball just spins off Bielik, straight out of play, and it will be a throw-in for Sunderland. And Trey Hume, the young Northern Irishman, will take it, nodded towards the edge of the penalty area by a slightly older Northern Irishman, Corey Evans. And now Neil, wide towards Clark, who will attack Bakuna, drives the ball low into the near post, where it's claimed well by John Ruddy. And he quickly bowls out high over the halfway line, looking for Hogan, who tries to head the ball back infield and pick out Hannibal, but instead it goes straight out of play, and that will be a throw-in to Sunderland, who once again have just played the smarter game in the opening moments of the second half.
Yeah, I think all in all they've just been slightly more clever, managed the bigger moments in the game well. Probably weren't on top for me when they scored, but then once they did, you saw a lot more confident, took more control of the game, and have come out in the second half sort of, you know, in that sort of vein, a lot more confident and composed.
And this the final weekend in the Championship and the Premier League before the World Cup, as Bellingham does well to spin and turn and find Hannibal wide to the far side. Huggins just slips momentarily, so Bakuna is able to sweep the cross in, but it's cleared away by Bart. And now Sunderland can look to break, and the pace of Diallo has been exploited by Neil over the halfway line down the right hand side. Diallo now inside the penalty, left foot curler from him. That is a wonderful goal from Ahmed Diallo, and Sunderland lead by 2-0. And the Manchester United youngster showed all of his quality there with a burst into the penalty area and a whipped curling shot which left John Ruddy standing. Birmingham 0, Sunderland 2.
What a wonderful goal that is from the young man, but equally we've got to talk about the ball out to him, and again Sunderland exploiting those wide areas. It's Longelo that's getting forward for Birmingham, and that's why they're able to exploit that space. And you see Diallo is already on his bike. It's a fantastic crossfield ball to find him, but from there he drives forward in he is such a box of tricks, and there's not necessarily a massive amount of step-overs or tricks here, but it's the close control and manipulation of the ball. And then as soon as he gets half a yard, bends it past John Ruddy into that left-hand corner side net, and it really is a wonderful goal.
Amad Diallo, another Premier League starlet, doing well on loan in the Championship. He scores his third goal for Sunderland, and they lead by 2-0 right at the start of the second half, and what a body blow that is for Birmingham.
Yeah, it is a massive blow, isn't it? But I do think Sunderland have started the better of the two sides, that as soon as they come out and the ball was in play, seemed to be in the Birmingham half and didn't give them a moment's rest, and they've got the rewards for that.
And Sunderland at the moment heading for their 5th away victory of the season, as it's cleared downfield by Anthony Patterson, and their supporters are in great voice now away to our right. Many of them have whipped off their shirts and are whirling them above their heads. Not too many evidences of winter suntans on those torsos, it must be said, as it's cleared downfield again and straight out of play on the far side for a throw into Sunderland.
I think it's more of it's tropical here compared to Sunderland.
It's a very balmy evening for the middle of November, but you can hear the Sunderland supporters, and they've enjoyed their trip down to the West Midlands. The way things are going at the moment, leading by 2-0. Ellis Sims on loan from Everton, scoring the first, and Amad Diallo on loan from Manchester United, getting the second. And one of Everton's scouting team, James Vaughan, the former Sunderland striker, is here this evening, I'm sure watching Ellis Sims, and so far he'll be able to give a very positive report. One chance, one goal for him.
Yeah, clinical, and that's what you want when you're put in those positions in front of goal to finish, and that he did.
And now Pritchard coming forward again, and he's been cut down by Bielik, and it will be a free kick for Sunderland, 35 yards out. Pritchard was actually back on his feet, and I think he was claiming that he should have had the advantage because Sims was unmarked on the edge of the penalty area, but in the end a free kick's been given.
Yeah, you see, he wanted to try and get the ball back in play quickly there, didn't he? But that was a really poor tackle, and this is where now Birmingham need to be very careful, manage their emotions, and after you concede, I think it's always emotions are heightened, so they've just got to make sure that they keep a lid on it to be able to try and get themselves back into the game.
Free kick for Sunderland, leading here by 2-0. Pritchard is over it. Corey Evans makes a run to this near side. He was completely unmarked, and he's still unmarked when he receives the ball. Then it's his cross high into the penalty area, headed away by Bielik, straight back to Evans. Pritchard now with a volley ball high to the far post, and it's claimed well by Ruddy.
You see there, Sunderland players, they're just trying to slow it down, and again, that's good game management from me. They're frustrated Birmingham for most of this game already, and they're still trying to do that now.
Now Sanderson infield towards Trusty, and Birmingham at the moment heading for their first home defeat since August. They picked up only 5 points in their opening 7 games, which included losses here to Wigan and Norwich. Of course, only 2 losses in 13 following that difficult start, but at the moment the final match before the World Cup will be in a losing cause for John Eustace's team. There are players from both sides down injured inside the Sunderland half. Scott Hogan has remained down, and the referee's got to stop play here because Hogan is flat out on the playing surface, and Danny Bart is also requiring treatment for Sunderland.
Yeah, and that's something that the Birmingham fans and John Eustace won't want to see. After he's gone down there, Hogan is not moved, and I think that's always a worry for me, and a show that the player is in a lot of pain.
And Hogan will require treatment now. We've played 8 minutes in the second half. Birmingham trailing Sunderland here by 2-0. Sims and Diallo on the score sheet, and Tony Mowbray is calling players across to just have words with him. And it's a number of the young players, Trey Hume and Daniel Neal, both 20 years of age, but the way they have played in this game so far, they look to have very bright futures in football ahead of them.
Yeah, just seeing that Hogan challenge back, is to come through the back of him, but then he takes another knock from a player to the head, so I don't know whether it's the initial when he comes through the back of him, whether there's an injury there, or whether it's more the knock to the head and it's a sort of concussion situation.
Well, they've been very careful with him, understandably. Hogan is sitting up now, which is good to see. And John Eustace is deep in conversation with two of his younger players, two of the Premier League loanees, Longelo and Trusty. Long time to go in the game, of course, only 54 minutes played. Sunderland leading by 2-0, but at the moment Birmingham have just got to score the next goal in the game and see where it takes them.
Yeah, the next goal is so important, isn't it? You know, Sunderland go 3-0 up and that's pretty much game over, whereas there's 2-1. And as you say, with a good period of time left in the game, it gives Birmingham time to mount an attack and try and get the equaliser and even the winner.
Lukas Djukovic will be coming on shortly for Birmingham, so it may be the case that Hogan is unable to continue, and they're also planning another change. George Hall, the 18-year-old, will be coming on as well, maybe to freshen up midfield. Now Trusty going back towards Sanderson again. Bielik takes over, wide to Collan, and at the moment Sunderland have a very good shape here, and they're forcing Birmingham to work very hard to even make it over the halfway line, and of course they are the home team. Now Bart beats Deeney in the air, Djukovic nods it down to Sanderson, and it's been a difficult start to the second half here for Birmingham.
Yeah, but you look at the Sunderland shape and been so disciplined throughout this game, aside from probably the first 10 or so minutes. And yeah, it's making it very difficult for Birmingham to get out. They're pressing well forward, Sunderland, and then when they need to get bodies back in and get vital blocks in and interceptions, they're doing that in the final third as well.
Now Collan stepping in field again. Birmingham, of course, are playing with wing-backs, Bakuna and Longelo, but at times there has been a lack of width from them. Deeney lays it off to Bakuna, who comes in field. Good ball from him, though, to find Hannibal, but it's back towards Bielik. There will be a treble change coming from Birmingham. Chong, Hall and Djukovic will all be on very shortly, as Hannibal looks to ride the challenge of Neal, drives Neal down, then Trusty inside the penalty area, pulls it back. Bakuna with the shot, it's blocked, and then Trusty with an effort which is also blocked as well, and Diallo will try and bring it clear, but Hannibal works hard to win it back. And here is the cross in from Longelo. The goalkeeper comes a long way, Patterson. It's headed away by Bart, but the ball drops favourably for Sunderland. Pritchard, though, hooks it across the field wide to the far side, and it's picked up by Bakuna. And Bakuna now is looking to try and hold off Hume, and in the end a free kick's been given. Neal was holding on just for a bit too long there on Bakuna, and it's a set piece for Birmingham, and they'll look to make the changes before this happens, and it's Hannibal who is coming off.
Yeah, and he doesn't help himself, does he? I think there's no doubt in his ability, but every time that he puts himself in a yellow card, I think he puts his manager John Eustace in a difficult situation, and knows that he probably needs to bring him off.
Maxim Collan is also coming off, so there could be a change in shape here, maybe to a back four. And Joe Bellingham is the third player withdrawn, and George Hall will come on to replace him.
Interested in that phase there with Bakuna. There's a moment where the ball comes into him. I think he's trying to be too clever. He almost wants to chip it over the defender and get then the shot on his second touch. But I think in that position, through so many bodies in the box as well, if he hits that hard and low, it's probably a better decision.
Bakuna now with the free kick, headed on by Trusty into the penalty area. It's cleared as far as Bielik. Lovely turn from him, left foot shot, but again it pings into the body of Bard. Headed across the face of the area by Deeney. Bakuna will try and win it back, and then he clashes with Diallo, who has gone down clutching his face, and it will be a free kick for Sunderland.
You know, and this is what will happen now with Sunderland, because they've got themselves two in front. You know, they'll try and slow the game down, manage the big moments. Yes, if there's a foul or maybe a touch to the face, they'll make the most out of it. But last couple of minutes is probably the best I've seen from Birmingham in terms of bit of urgency about them. Obviously they're 2-0 down and they need that now, but there was just a more pressure and urgency to go forward and get shots off than I've seen, especially in this second half.
It looks like a 4-3-3 now for Birmingham. Longelo and Bakuna have become fullbacks either side of Trusty and Sanderson, and Chong has replaced Hannibal in midfield, so the hairstyles haven't changed too much. He'll be alongside Bielik, and then three up front.
I think that serves two purposes. In terms of actually defensively, it'll be a bit better for them. They'll sort of now negate Sunderland getting in those wide areas quite so much, and going forward it gives them more options and more bodies. And for me, they've not played through midfield very well today, Birmingham. They've, you know, the balls that have gone up to Hogan and Deeney have bypassed the midfield. So, you know, Chong coming on in that area, he'll definitely want to get on the ball, play forward and try and join the attack. But Hogan and Deeney have been quite isolated tonight. Diallo is still down receiving treatment for the facial injury here, so a reminder coming up on game day tomorrow. 3 big games from the Premier League on Talksport. 12:30 Manchester City against Brentford. Rashmin Chowdhury, Sam Matterface and Mickey Gray are your team at the Etihad. Adrian Durham will be live from West Ham against Leicester with Game Day Live. Ian Danta and Perry Groves will bring you commentary from Spurs against Leeds on Talksport at 3, and then Wolves against Arsenal 7:45 also on Talksport with Faker Ruthers, Clive Tilsley and Chris Owellamo. We have 4 commentaries from the Autumn Nations Series Rugby Union tomorrow, including England against Argentina and France against South Africa. And then on Sunday, Burnley against Blackburn. Massive game in the Championship. Live here on Talksport 2, 12:30 with Steve Hothersall and Mickey Gray. Mickey Gray was the Sunderland player who scored the last time they won here back in 1997. That record could come to an end here tonight. And then next Friday, of course, the World Cup may be on the way, but we will still continue to bring you the best of the EFL. And from League One, it is Portsmouth against Derby, the commentary game. And Game Day Live with Adrian Durham will come live from Qatar on the eve of the World Cup next week. Arsenal against Manchester United from the WSL will also be on Talksport 2 at 5:30, and then the World Cup gets underway 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Qatar against Ecuador. Every single game will be across the Talksport network. Both England and Wales will be in action on Monday. Birmingham have won a corner on this near side. The run forward from Longelo, but it was tracked by Hume, and he has conceded the corner. And Bakuna will take it in the absence of Hannibal. And of course there will be the onus still on Bakuna and Longelo to get forward, so there could be even more room for Sunderland on the break now as Birmingham push on, looking to find a way back into this game. 62 minutes played on Talksport 2. Sunderland leading by 2-0. Bakuna drives in a very flat corner. Bielik on the volley. It was a clever move, and it was an excellent challenge by Corey Evans to block the shot, because that was travelling from Bielik, and Bielik has gone down clutching his left hip. Yeah, and you see the way that he went for the ball, he slid on the ground, and he's still down in the box now.
Now Djukovic with a high cross to the far post. It's headed down by Hogan. The game is going on around Bielik, who is down in some pain inside the penalty area, and now an opportunity for Hall, who breaks into the box right hand side, and he shoots over the top, and the goal kick will be given, and now play will finally be stopped. And I think Tony Mowbray saying to the fourth official, look, how can we defend when there's a player down inside the area?
Yeah, it's one of those difficult ones, isn't it? And I suppose as well when there's so many players in the area, the ref's got to think about player safety. If someone does trip over Bielik, especially, you know, his head's on the floor, you don't want anything like that happens. But equally, Birmingham had the ball, so they had the opportunity to kick the ball out for their player.
And Bielik still receiving treatment, of course. He is heading off to the World Cup with Poland, so he'll be keen it's not something which has lasting damage for him.
Yeah, I think it was just the way the ball come in. It was low and driven, as you say. It was worked really well, but he was stretching for it, and I think his sort of left leg folds under him, and then don't quite know what Sunderland player it is, but the defender coming out lands on him as well. I think it's Corey Evans.
Well, Bielik is still down. Patrick Roberts will be coming on shortly for Sunderland. And the Birmingham fans getting behind their team here, because I think they sense they need to lift them, trailing by 2-0. Diallo is also down again, receiving some treatment on this near side. And the change will be made, and it's Diallo going off, the scorer of the second goal, the young Ivorian, to be replaced by Patrick Roberts. So, like for like, really.
Yeah, it's a strange one, actually, because it seemed sort of something of nothing. He did sort of catch him in the eye, but it seemed quite innocuous, really. But walking off, he was still holding the eye, so he doesn't really seem to be struggling with it there, Diallo.
And Patrick Roberts scored twice against Reading in that 3-0 victory, which contained so many great goals earlier in the season, but he's not scored anywhere else. And Bielik makes his way off here towards this near side for Birmingham, and it looks like he'll be okay to continue.
Yeah, I think there's always that panic, isn't there? The way that the World Cup's only round the corner, and you know, players are probably extra cautious about what they want to play on with, and you know, the twinges and the pain that they're playing with. They don't want to push their luck.
Now Hall plays it down the line for Birmingham on the far side. Deeney clips it forward looking for Djukovic. Deeney almost playing a slightly deeper role now behind Djukovic and Hogan.
Yeah, I think he does that naturally anyway. He likes to drop in, so say playing slightly deeper just behind the two and trying to play that role, picking the passes out for his teammates.
Birmingham have a month off following this game before their trip to Blackpool. Sunderland only have 3 weeks off. They've got Millwall and West Brom at home coming up following the World Cup break. It's played wide to this near side, and Longelo for Birmingham. Chong looking to turn, and he plays it back to Sanderson. And now Sanderson almost plays Trusty into trouble as he's closed down by Roberts, but Birmingham clear, but then it's almost given away. Again it was, but the ball forward for Sunderland doesn't find Roberts, and now Longelo charging forward again down the left, cuts into the penalty area, onto the right foot. His curling shot is deflected, it goes behind for a corner. Well, he scored in a similar fashion against Queen's Park Rangers here recently, Emmanuel Longelo, looking to repeat the act there.
Yeah, and going forward, and what I initially really like about this is he has a big touch across Patrick Roberts, and he can't get to him there. Has a little tug of the shirt, but keeps on going, and as you say, we know he's got the ability to cut onside with his right foot, but gets the corner.
Midway through the second half here on Talksport 2, Sunderland leading 2-0. Chong with the corner, it's very deep towards Bielik. Headed away as far as Trusty, his header into the 6-yard area, nodded clear, then Trusty on the volley, and again it's Bart stooping to head the ball away. Trusty returns it with his head, and now Hall on the edge of the penalty area. The head tennis continues. It was Huggins with the clearance. Now it's White to Chong on the far side. He goes down, but Bakuna carries on for Birmingham. High cross in, looking for Djukovic, and it's claimed well, under pressure from Hogan by Patterson.
Birmingham again doing well, continuing with the pressure, with the urgency. I didn't know whether the stoppage in play would halt that momentum, but it's not, and you just feel though they've got to get that goal sooner rather than later. Sunderland will feel if they can ride this spell of pressure out, that I wouldn't say they'll be home and dry, but they know that momentum, it comes in fits and starts and in waves, and if they can ride this out, Sunderland, then it's, you know, do Birmingham have it in their locker to mount another attack as good as this? Now
Chong has the opportunity to play in Deeney, which he does. Back towards Chong again, but it's cut out well by Neil, who's had an excellent game for Sunderland at the base of their midfield. Sims, wide to this near side, looking for Roberts. Roberts closes down Trusty, and Trusty throws back his head in frustration as the ball almost ricochets into the path of Pritchard on the edge of the penalty area, but in the end, it is cleared away.
I think Sims needs to do a bit better there. He's trying to play the ball forward to his teammate. He's got more time and he thinks just keep the ball, keep possession, because giving it away now and Birmingham back on the attack.
Australia's reign as the Rugby League World Cup champions has been put under severe test by New Zealand this evening. At the moment, Australia are just about to go through as the ball is cleared away as far as Longelo, but then a free kick's been given for a challenge by Hogan, and Australia have gone through to the World Cup final. They have beaten New Zealand by 16 points to 14, coming from behind to win that game in the second half. They've won the previous two World Cups, of course, England in their semi-final tomorrow, and they will face Samoa in the final at Old Trafford next weekend. It sounds like it was a great game this evening between Australia and New Zealand, and England's women are in Rugby Union World Cup final action tomorrow morning. As we're just watching on the replay here, a challenge from Hogan which led to a free kick on the edge of the penalty area, and everybody is putting it on the line here tonight, aren't they? Yeah,
and it's, say, with the World Cup round the corner, there's been that conversation, hasn't there, around players, would they sort of come out of challenges, not put themselves full force, and yes, not all of these players are going to a World Cup, but every single player on this pitch tonight has put themselves on the line for both sides.
But it's almost as if the fact they've got a break coming up means they want to impress the manager here tonight, because things can change over the next few weeks.
Yeah, and Sims is down on the pitch, he's back up now, but yeah, of course, momentum works both ways, and as I say, for some players, they'll know that maybe there's players behind them with injuries that might force them back out the squad, so they want to be playing as well as possible.
Corey Evans clears the ball away for Sunderland on this near side. Now Chong, Roberts comes back to make the challenge, but here is Longelo for Birmingham, but Trey Hume links up well with Roberts, and the final touch was off Trusty, who fouled Pritchard anyway, and it will be a free kick here for Sunderland with 19 minutes to play on Talksport 2. 2-0 to Sunderland, goals either side of half-time from Ellis Sims and Ahmad Diallo.
Really clever from Pritchard, and just as I said earlier, Ellis Sims gave away the ball and Birmingham mad to attack straight away, where you see there Sunderland strung a few passes together, invited the foul, and then it just halts the momentum of Birmingham.
Birmingham with 12 shots on goal, more than double the amount that Sunderland have managed, but Sunderland have had more shots on target, which tells you about the clinical edge they've displayed at times, as Sims does rise and head the ball in field looking for Pritchard, but it's cleared away. Now Roberts for Sunderland, Evans pokes it forward, it's cleared by Trusty. He only finds Pritchard though. Pritchard has Neil with the opportunity to play it wide to the far side, and Clark will try and break into the penalty area, but Bakuna as well, just to lever him off the ball, and it's behind for a goal kick. Taken quickly. And then Chong is cleaned out on this near side by Evans. Play continues because Sunderland have the ball, but the referee may revisit that. It's nodded down inside the area by Djukovic. Hall hooks it back looking for Deeney, and it's hacked clear by Neil.
Yeah, and as soon as this ball goes out of play, I imagine the ref's going to stop the game, because that was a bit of a naughty challenge, that one, and especially if Chong's planted, it's lucky that he's back up and running around, and he's not made too much of it, in all honesty.
Now Hogan on the edge of the penalty area. Brave challenge coming in though from Hume, and he has gone down, but a throw-in's been given to Birmingham on the far side, and Andy Madley just heading across to the far side to maybe sort one or two things out. He may have to sort out the Sunderland player who was on the ground at the moment, but he could also revisit the earlier challenge by Evans on Chong. Indeed he is, and Corey Evans receives a yellow card.
Yeah, it's definitely a yellow, and as I say, I think probably Evans is quite lucky as well that Chong doesn't want to make more of that. Obviously he wanted to get up, mount the attack and join his teammates, but it wasn't a great challenge.
But it's a throw-in for Birmingham on the far side, taken by Bakuna into Sanderson. And now Chong digs out a cross, high to the far post. Deeney does well to hook the ball across the face of goal. And in the end, was Hogan pulled down? Well, the flag is raised for offside. Both Djukovic and Hogan inside the penalty area try to execute overhead kicks there. Djukovic not really making contact. Hogan believes he was pulled down. The flag was raised on the far side, but only to signal that Hogan was offside.
Yeah, we're just going to get a better view of this. It's really, really tight.
Well, who's offside?
Yeah, I think it's close. I think it's very, very, very close. It looks to be that they're flagging for Hogan, or I don't know whether it the overhead kick and it's a high foot and it's dangerous play. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure the assistant could see that from over there. But anyway, free kick's been given. Of course, no VAR, so we move on. 15 minutes to play on Talksport 2. Birmingham 0, Sunderland 2, as Pritchard now goes down, and the game has been broken up now with a number of free kicks, and Troy Deeney slams the ball into the turf in frustration here as Sunderland get another opportunity to just manage the clock.
Yeah, and Sunderland, look, these knocks will hurt. They'll be nursing some knocks and bruises. I don't think, looking back at that, actually that's a foul. Both players come from the game, go for the ball, but nonetheless Sunderland will just be very pleased that this game is being slowed down and the Birmingham momentum is being halted. Yeah, it was Bielik who made the challenge. Pritchard is over the free kick. And he drives it wide to this near side, taken down well by Roberts. Ongelo will try and deal with him, but Roberts is looking to tease him back towards Evans. The cross into the penalty area, headed away well by Trusty, and now Deeney picks it up, lobs it over the top, looking for Hogan. Hogan brings it down left-hand side of the penalty area. Djukovic makes the run in field, but the back heel from Hogan doesn't find him. It's cut out by Huggins, and then Hogan goes into the back of Roberts. No free kick given. Chung with the cross into the penalty area. Deeney allows the ball to run, and Hall at the far post down the Birmingham right plays it back towards Bakuna. He comes in field, the challenge comes in from Neil, but it's poked forward towards Djukovic. On the turn, his shot is blocked, it spins into the 6-yard area, and Patterson will eventually claim. I think he was caught by his own player there, Anthony Patterson. He has gone down. Huggins has also gone down and stayed down, and the home crowd getting increasingly frustrated. They will be, but you know what, that comes actually from Bakuna, the fact that he pushes the Sunderland defender into his goalkeeper. Yeah, you just see there's a little nudge and causing their own problems now, Birmingham. It caused a problem for Niall Huggins because it sent him clattering into Anthony Patterson, but both are back on their feet. Andy Madley is doing his best to allow the game to flow here, but I would imagine that with 14 minutes to play we're going to see a hefty portion of added time here, because Sunderland, there is no doubt, are just lingering on the turf when they can at times. Yeah, and I think... But who wouldn't in their situation? Exactly, they're trying to do everything they can to make sure they come away with the 3 points, but going back to the ref, Andy Madley, I think he's refereeing this game extremely well. It's been a difficult one, been very stop-start, but I think he's tried to let it flow as much as possible. Now Longelo with a cross in from the left. Oh, there's a missed kick. The shot from Djukovic is in! And Birmingham City are back in the game. Bailey Wright with the error. A complete air shot as he looked to clear the ball away, and it dropped to Djukovic, and his low shot on the turn squirmed away from Patterson. And with 12 minutes to play, St Andrews has come alive. It's Birmingham 1, Sunderland 2. Game on out of nowhere, really. It's a very, very good finish. Gonzalo getting down this left-hand side, the ball in, as you say, air shot, but then this is difficult. It's bounced a couple of times before it comes towards him. It's almost at his knee, but he does so well to get enough power on this Djukovic to get it towards goal from about 16 yards out and find that bottom left-hand corner. He's literally threading the eye of the needle in that moment, going through defenders and the goalkeeper, and that's literally the only place that it can go for him to score. Does very well with that finish. Well, he's not been a regular scorer. He's not been a regular starter in recent times, Lucas Djukovic, but he has given Birmingham hope in this game here. As the ball is played wide to this near side by Pritchard, looking for Roberts, but it was behind him. And you can hear the roar of appreciation from the
home crowd as they win a throw-in on this near side, and tired legs and plugging hearts have suddenly been lifted here. Djukovic with his first goal for a year.
Unbelievable, really, because as I say, I think that is a very, very difficult finish. The way it comes to him, the angle, the couple of bounces before, and as I say, he's got such a small space to hit to be able to score that goal, and does extremely well. He takes that looks like a man full of confidence and scoring 20 goals, not someone that's not scored for a year.
Yeah, the only goal here against Blackpool on the 27th of November 2021 was Lukas Djukovic's last goal. Now Bielik heads it forward, but a free kick has already been given to Birmingham, and Tony Mowbray is suddenly chuntering towards the fourth official here.
Yeah, this is going to be a great finish for this game, though. 10 minutes of normal time just over left. There'll be a considerable portion of added time as well, and it's going to be a grandstand finish.
Free kick, which Bakuna is over here for Birmingham, and we have just over 10 minutes to play. High into the penalty area, not cleared by Wright. The flag is up for offside on the far side. Andy Madley will eventually spot it, and Sunderland have the free kick.
Disappointing for Birmingham, not got long left in this game, so the fact that they've been caught offside from a free kick like that, John Eustace won't be happy with that.
And Tony Mowbray doesn't have too many defensive options left on his bench due to the injuries. He's down to the bare bones, and Anthony Patterson spotted the free kick up, I think, safe in the knowledge he knew it was in the wrong area, so he'd have to pick it up and go back 3 or 4 yards.
Yeah,
maybe I'm being too cynical.
The dark arts of the game.
It clears downfield now, up towards the halfway line. Sims flicks on, but Birmingham win it back. Deeney's touch to try and release Hall, but Roberts can now chase a clearance into the penalty area down the right-hand side for Sunderland. Heads towards the byline. His low cross is deflected off Trusty and then Roberts, and behind for a goal kick.
I think Roberts makes the wrong decision there. I think as it bounces to him, if he hits that first time right-footed and fizzes it across the box, there's 2 of his Sunderland teammates in there, but takes too long with it and then doesn't even get the corner for his trouble.
Now Longelo on this near side. Roberts though comes back to win it back for Sunderland. Evans with the ball forward. Evans has now dropped into almost a back 6 for Sunderland at times as they look to hold on here. Djukovic flicks into the penalty area. Hogan on the move, but so too is Patterson, and he claims on the edge of the 6-yard area.
Does well there, Patterson, trying to just judge everything. He's out off his line quick to try and collect the ball, but Sunderland now, they looked a bit panicked. You know, for so long in this game they've looked so calm and composed on the ball, but you see the pressure that Birmingham are putting them under. It's really starting to make them panic.
And the pressure gradually built from Birmingham, and they have the goal, and now they trail 2-1 with 8 minutes to play. Ruddy clears long downfield. Djukovic having a wrestling match in mid-air with Bailey Wright, and Birmingham have a free kick 25 yards out dead centre.
He does very well backing into the defender. He knows he's probably going to take a hit there, but he'll take that to get a free kick for his team in a good position.
Well, do they go for goal here, or try and set it up for all the height they've got on the pitch now?
I would say it's ever so slightly too far out to go straight for goal. It's got to be absolutely spectacular from this distance to beat the keeper.
Well, Juninho Bakuna is over the free kick. He's playing as a wing-back for only the second time this season tonight, and he's scored on the other occasion at Hull in the early weeks of the season. There will be a double change for Sunderland very soon. Elliot Embleton and Jay Matete will be coming on, but not before this free kick, which Bakuna is over, and the way he is addressing the ball, it suggests he is going to have a crack here. A very deliberate run back from Bakuna, but he plays it wide to this near side, and Chong down the line for Longelo. The crossing is cleared as far as Sanderson drives a low shot in, cleared off the line. Sanderson again, a great block inside the area by Patterson. Birmingham inches away from the equaliser there. It's now cleared as far as Chong on the volley, and it's high over the top, but somewhere in there was a brilliant goal line clearance to keep Sunderland ahead.
You know what, Nigel? I'm not sure if it actually comes off his own player. I'd like to see the replay back again. There's a lot of people, but initially this is really well worked from Birmingham. That's Chong Longelo coming across, but I'm not sure if this actually comes off of Birmingham. I think it's a mix between a Sunderland defender and a Birmingham player, but either way it's so close.
It was Hall, and in fact it was the player who was behind Hall, Trey Hume, who made the block right on the goal line and has kept Sunderland ahead. Sims is coming off along with Pritchard now to be replaced by Embleton and Matete, so Sunderland have taken off their only fit striker. So Clark will try and fill in as an extremely false nine, you believe, for the closing stages, but attacking is not really Sunderland's priority at the moment.
No, definitely not, but wow, how close did Birmingham go there, and just got to try and keep this pressure on now for as long as this game will last, and try and see if they can get that vital equaliser.
Now Hall on the far side hooks it forward, but Evans gets there before Hogan, and it's played down the line, and Clark will chase, and he was offside. He was looking along the line, he knew he was offside, but of course the assistant waits for him to make a definitive move towards the ball before Natalie Aspinall raises her flag. But it's a free kick for Birmingham, and it's played short by Ruddy up to the halfway line, and Bakuna clips it further down the line for Hall to chase it. He's very quick, George Hall, but he's not quick enough on this occasion, and it's shepherded behind by Huggins, and it will be a goal kick for Sunderland, and we have 4.5 minutes to play. Birmingham 1, Sunderland 2 here on Talksport 2. And Sunderland never make life easy for their fans, it seems.
No, it's definitely going to be a nervy end to this game, and you'd imagine there's still time for a couple of twists in the tail.
Only 2 wins in 10 after winning 2 of their first 3 under Tony Mowbray. Now 2 Sunderland players collide going for the same ball, but Roberts stays on his feet, and it's played wide by Neal towards the far side, and Clark again is offside, and he was looking right along the line there, Jack Clark, and still was offside.
Yeah, it'd be very disappointing with that again, giving possession back to Birmingham in these vital moments of the game.
Gordon James now comes on for Birmingham to replace Christian Bielik. James, of course, overlooked for the Wales squad for the World Cup. He has been around it in recent times after switching from England's under-20 side. But he will come on to try and help Birmingham prize an equalising goal from this game. Now Longelo down the line for Chong on the left. The cross in though is blocked by Evans. It will be a Birmingham corner, and it's one-way traffic now with 3 minutes to play. Yeah,
and Birmingham seeming to get a lot of joy now down this left-hand side. Chong and Longelo linking up really well on a number of occasions.
Bakuna will take the corner kick. Chong comes short. Every player apart from John Ruddy is inside the Sunderland half here. Most of them are inside the Sunderland penalty area. Bakuna with an in-swinger towards the near post. Poor delivery really, headed away. And Longelo will have to go all the way back towards Ruddy, who is 10 yards outside his penalty area. He clears downfield. Djukovic is beaten to it in the air by Bart, but it falls to Chong. Chong challenged by Matete and fouled by Matete, although Tony Mowbray can't believe it. Matete then kicks the ball away and will be booked.
Yeah, rightly so, trying to buy time, but you've got to be clever when you do things like that, don't it? Right in front of the referee, and you know that you're going to go in the book for it.
Into the 89th minute here on Talksport 2. Birmingham 1, Sunderland 2 at St Andrews, as one or two fans begin to drift away. Bakuna with the free kick high to the far post again. It's cleared as far as Sanderson and now nodded back to Hall on the edge of the penalty area. It wasn't really set for the shot. It was a bobbly effort which was cleared and then hooked away by Clark up to the halfway line. Bakuna, the last man for Birmingham, controls and then plays it wide to the far side where it's brought down quickly by Deeney, looking to play in Sanderson. Jordan James takes over and it's his ball in, which is flicked on by Hogan just wide, and Patterson maybe got a touch on that, did he? No, a goal kick's been given.
It was very close, wasn't it? The header was from a long way out and I didn't think it was going to trouble Patterson there, but it definitely had him scrambling.
Well, there's a lopsided grin from Anthony Patterson, so did he get a touch on that? We're watching the replay here in the press box. Difficult to say from that angle. It was Deeney with the cross in and Hogan's header was actually drifting wide and there was no touch from the keeper.
No, he was glad to see that glance past the post, though. It was awfully close from that angle.
James heads forward for Birmingham once again, but Sunderland now have the opportunity to break themselves. But James working hard and he has won it back from Neil. And he'll try and break over the halfway line on this near side, the Birmingham left, but excellent recovery challenge from Matete. Matete's got Roberts in space down the right, but Longelo intercepts and will try and play it down the line, but the ball intended for Chong was blocked and it's back with Trusty. As we tick towards added time here, all eyes on Sonny Gill, the fourth official. Seven added minutes, and he just had the feeling it would be a total like that. Sunderland can't believe it. Now Janino Bakuna wide to this near side, and Rongelo claims he was nudged over by Roberts, but no free kick given, and it will be a throw into Sunderland.
Yeah, I think he's trying to make the most of it there. I do think there's a nudge, but not as much to elicit the reaction that he did get, and I think that's probably in Andy Madley's mind.
Sunderland will take the throw in, and they are in absolutely no hurry at all here. And Mowbray is now talking to Sonny Gill, the fourth official, who presumably is telling him, I only put the board up, I don't make that decision myself.
Yeah, he's not happy, is he? He's still having a word with him, but as you say, he's in the line of fire, isn't he, the fourth?
Well, in the 91st minute in a game like this, he certainly would be. Hume will take the throw in for Sunderland. And he's stolen 1 or 2 yards. Evans has lost out to Deeney, but all Deeney can do is run the ball out of play. And then Deeney rams the ball into the breadbasket of Trey Hume, but in fairness he was smiling. Bit of interplay there in the dying embers of this game. Now Sanderson under pressure from Clark, plays it back to Ruddy, so presumably that ball was going out for a corner, but Ruddy is able to clear the ball downfield. Now Bakuna, Embleton brings him down, does he? Not according to the referee. Neil quickly plays it forward for Clark. He can break into the penalty area. He then goes down, but the referee waves away the penalty appeals, and Sanderson is fouled surely by Neil. He is, and it's a free kick to Birmingham.
There's a lot going on now, isn't there, in these last few minutes, and Sunderland desperately trying to hold on to this lead, wanting to come away from St Andrews with 3 points.
Well, the Sunderland supporters aren't happy about something on the far side. The ball is actually spun out of play onto the tarpaulins on the lower tier of the Kop stand here. And we still have a long time to play in this game. Nearly 5 minutes of added time. And the Sunderland supporters trying to raise their team once again. Leading here by 2-1, but really hanging on. But here is Roberts to bring it forward now for Sunderland down the right-hand side. And Trusty will make the challenge, and I think the ball was going out for a throw, and it was, but then it spins back in field and goes out for a corner in the end, and Sunderland will take their time here.
Yeah, they will, just trying to run those seconds down. You'd imagine this isn't going into the box. They're going to try and keep it in the corner for as long as possible.
Plenty of nervous faces among those Sunderland supporters behind that goal. It's played short towards Clark, and Clark just stays by the corner flag. Deeney comes back to try and win it back. And the throw-in in the end is given to Sunderland. Clark claims he was nudged over by Deeney, but I think in the circumstances Deeney was entitled to go for it. Now Roberts cleverly takes the ball from Clark, and the final touch was off Longelo. It will be another corner kick, and Sunderland here doing a very good job of winding down the clock. And there are 3 Sunderland players grouped around the corner flag. Now Matete takes over on corner flag duty, and the challenge comes in from Deeney, and Deeney not happy as another corner is given, which Deeney actually fields the ball and very deliberately plants it down in the quadrant, but Sunderland are just taking their time as Birmingham players have to get back the requisite 10 yards. It's taken quickly, and Diallo just nudges it off Longelo, and it's out once again.
And the Sunderland fans behind the goal are really enjoying this, aren't they?
Well, they've got 3 more minutes to do this. But now Roberts will drive into the penalty area, but he can't go any further. And Chong will bring it clear now for Birmingham. And he's seen an avenue of opportunity. Plays it wide to the far side, the right. And Bakuna. Hall makes the run towards the edge of the penalty area. Bakuna with a low cross in, which is cleared away by Huggins. And it will be a throw-in on the far side for Birmingham. And Birmingham once again not really making the most of that. Thrown short by Bakuna towards Sanderson. Now Bakuna again. And the cross is blocked by the head of Huggins, and it will be another throw-in for Birmingham, and we have just over 2 minutes of added time to play. These are big moments in the season of both clubs, of course, the final match before the World Cup. And we've not said that before in November. Now Bakuna throws it back in field again towards Trusty. Graham takes over, high ball in, looking for Djukovic, who tries to head the ball down under pressure, and eventually it is run clear by Matete on this near side. Matete has support, and Hume's ball forward is deflected. Is it out of play? Not according to the assistant on this near side. It will be a throw-in for Birmingham. Again, Tony Mowbray can't believe it. Thrown long by Longelo, headed in field, and was there a challenge inside the penalty area on Chong? No free kick or penalty is being given. Now Bakuna with the cross to the far post. Djukovic is rising, and it's headed over the top of his own crossbar by Wright, and it will be a corner to Birmingham.
That is fantastic defending there. If he gets this wrong, he's a couple of yards out from his own goal. He scores an own goal, but does so well to get this up and over the bar. It's brilliant.
We are in the 97th minute, and it's a corner for Birmingham on the far side. Did seem that Tathy Chong was held back there inside the penalty area. Maybe Birmingham had a case for a penalty, but possibly the dramatic fall from Chong made up the referee's mind.
It's one of those, isn't it, though? It's hard because as a player you feel like you have to go down unless it doesn't get given.
If there was VAR, that would have been a penalty, you feel. Chong with the corner, an in-swinger, Trusty arriving, headed away by Bartler, the goalkeeper's forward. It's played back into the penalty area, and it's almost controlled by Ruddy, and now he's given the ball away, and Roberts can run the ball clear. He had an open goal, an open field, and in the end it was George Hall who caught up with him, and it was Clark who eventually hacks down Hall, and it will be a free kick to Birmingham, and there should have been a third goal there for Sunderland.
There should have been, but it's unbelievable defending from Hall. He doesn't give this up. Got a lot of pace about him. We've seen that going forward, but defending here, it's absolutely brilliant. So that Sunderland player's got a good 10 yards on him, but manages.
Yeah, it was Clark,
Yeah, like I say, Clark's got a good 10 yards on him, but Hall does so well to make that ground up and make the tackle.
Into the 98th minute now. The free kick from Ruddy is cleared away, and that is it. And Sunderland can celebrate their 5th away victory of the season. And this one has been extremely hard earned at St Andrews. They had to hang on grimly for the closing stages throughout 8 minutes of added time. But Birmingham's excellent recent run comes to an end just before the World Cup. But Sunderland move into the top half. Undoubtedly the standout moment. The second goal scored by Ahmed Diallo. The first from Elliot Sims. Lucas Djukovic gave late hope to Birmingham, but in the end the Black Cats held on, and Birmingham are left with real disappointment before attention now turns to events in Qatar. over the next month. It is finished. Birmingham City 1, Sunderland 2.